I have been on this bench long enough to know that people do not always come into court carrying only what the paper says they are carrying. Sometimes they bring fear, sometimes they bring arrogance, sometimes they bring the kind of polished entitlement that has gone unchallenged for so long it starts to look like identity. That was what walked into my courtroom the morning Isabella Harrington appeared on 3 unpaid parking tickets totaling $240. On paper, it was routine. 3 tickets, same block, same week. In municipal court, that barely raises an eyebrow. But Inspector Quinn gave me a look when he placed the file on my bench. I have trusted that man's instincts for years. When he gives me that slight nod, I pay attention. When Isabella was called, I heard the heels before I saw her. Sharp, deliberate steps. She was in her late 20s, dressed perfectly, carrying herself like someone who had never once worried about a utility bill or whether the car would start. I gave her the same greeting I give everyone. Good morning. How are you today? She looked at me as though I had interrupted something important. Fine, she said. I asked whether the tickets were hers. She said her assistant usually handled these things and that there had been a miscommunication. I told her that whoever usually handled them, she was here now, and we would deal with them together. Then she placed both hands on the podium and said, Judge, I think you should know who my father is before we go any further. I was not angry. I was disappointed because I knew exactly what that sentence meant. My father is important, therefore this should go differently for me. I set my pen down and folded my hands. I told her I was sure her father was a fine person, but in my courtroom I was interested in her. She tilted her head and said, My father is Governor Harrington. The room went still. I have been doing this for 35 years. My father came to this country from Italy with nothing but his hands and his dignity. He taught me that respect is earned, not inherited. Authority is built, not announced. So I asked Isabella whether she understood what those 3 tickets represented. She answered immediately, $240. No, I said. They represent 3 separate choices, 3 separate days when you parked where you knew you should not have, and 3 separate decisions not to deal with it. That answer landed. I saw something shift in her face, so I asked her something else. I asked her to tell me about her life. Not her father, her. That caught her off guard. She said she worked for her father's foundation, mostly on youth literacy programs. I told her that was meaningful work. Then she said her father expected a great deal from her. She had been running between 3 cities. Her schedule had been impossible. She knew it sounded like an excuse. Busy doesn't park the car, I told her. You do. Then the back door opened and Governor Harrington himself walked in. He took a seat quietly in the gallery. No lawyer, no speech, no note to my clerk. He simply sat down and watched. Isabella did not know he was there. Her back was to him. And in that moment, I understood something important. He was not there to rescue her. He was there to witness what happened when nobody did. So I asked her one more question. When she said I should know who her father was, what exactly had she meant by that? This time, she did not answer quickly. She thought about it. Then, very quietly, she said, I think I meant that I'm used to things being taken care of. And is that serving you well? I asked. She was silent for a long moment. Then she said, No, not really. That one answer told me more about her than everything else that morning. Honest, uncomfortable, but honest. I looked down at the file again. 3 tickets, same block, same week, $240. Then I looked at the woman standing in front of me. Not the governor's daughter, just a young woman who had finally said something true in a room where truth matters. So I made my ruling. I told her she would pay the fines in full, no reduction. The law still mattered. But I also asked her to do something else. I asked her to spend 1 full day volunteering at the Providence Community Center. Not through the foundation, not as a donor, not with photographers, as a regular person helping regular people. She looked at me and asked whether that was a sentence or a request. I smiled. It's a request, I said, because you are not just a case number to me. She thought for a moment, then she said yes. That was when she turned to leave and saw her father sitting in the 3rd row. She stopped. He stood, walked over to her, and put one hand gently on her shoulder. He did not speak. The look on his face said enough. He looked at me, nodded once, and I nodded back. Then they walked out together. 3 months later, I received a handwritten letter from Isabella. She wrote that the day changed her. She had paid the fines, done the work, and learned that responsibility cannot be outsourced. She said her father watched the clip and felt proud, not because she was protected, but because she was honest. That matters to me. I still believe this job is not here to humiliate people. It exists to hold them still until truth catches up with them. Isabella Harrington walked into my courtroom expecting her father's name to change the outcome. Instead, for one honest moment, she let it change her. That is why this work still matters.